Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity Up right in corner. We got Tim starting as the red Protoss, bottom right in corner. We got Semih starting as the orange Protoss. This is going to be on Radion, and it is a big macro map, and it is PvP with two guys that are very solid. This is, I guess, the higher up in the bracket you get, the more solid you would expect it to be. Whoever makes it out of here makes it to the upper bracket final, and then there's... I think the way they do it is that you still have a second chance after. So if you get dropped out of the upper bracket, you go to the lower bracket, and then there's the grand final, I think is how it works. So there's a second opportunity, and I think if you're in the upper bracket, you start a win up or something along those lines. I'm not sure how they entirely did it. I should ask Zen just to double check before we hit the grand finals. But point being, it's the further on you get, the higher the quality players. I guess that's the ultimate point I wanted to make out of this. And these guys have shown some ferocious games. Tim has been playing fantastically, and I know that people talk about how Tim's just getting back. I'll be interested to see how he plays. Man, I just keep saying that phrase over and over again. I'll be interested to see. It's true though. I will be interested to see if this is Tim out of practice. I want to see Tim in practice in the modern meta. Because holy cow, both players opting for gateway firsts, neither player opting to do anything crazy economically. First scout is absolutely huge. It's big in PvP, but it looks like neither player is going to end up with the scouting advantage unless they go mid-map and turn around. Right now it looks like it's a counterclockwise versus clockwise scout, leading both to get absolutely no information, potentially. The same layer has been plopped down on both ends. So we'll see if there's a zealot built initially. Tim, I think if you pushing back the meta a bit, there were more Protoss skipping Dragoon, the Zealot first, and going straight into Cybernetics Core Dragoon. It is something that was punishable. I can't remember what the exact punishment is. I don't think the punishment's that bad on this map, and I think it actually makes sense to go Dragoon first, in particular on this map, Radion, because it is huge, it's large, there's just a lot of space to work with. The one thing the Zealot does give you regardless, though, is it gives you an opportunity to potentially, especially with the way the scouting pattern's going, block out your opponent if you can get on that ramp and do a little bit of micro. Second pylon dropped for both players. Looks like the second pylon there along for Semih. Mirrored build orders thus far, we should expect that to be until we meet. I'm always interested to see which player is going to, if a player is going to play reactive or if a player is going to play defensive in this space. Dragoon's queued up on both ends. Granted, it takes like up to the, I don't know, 3:30-minute mark somewhere to potentially see divergences that direction. But I'm always curious to see if someone takes the opportunity and goes like, you know what, I'm going to get an information denial for sure. Maybe I should go quick set of Levadoon or DT or something along those lines. Or maybe kind of the counterplay of that is knowing that information is going to be denied based on these scouting timings. Drop robotics, something along those lines. We only knew the inner workings, and could we ask them directly? Maybe I should ask them directly after the fact. I think I have Semih's Discord, but not otherwise. Anyway, Tim's probe able to get up to at least see a gateway. Notices that it's not a second gateway. Semih is going to be able to get out with his probe. Was able to confirm that there was no natural expansion, trying to draw back right this second. Second gateway dropped from Tim. Wow, I almost called it precisely there. 3 minutes 30 seconds. I think was my original call. Range about halfway finished for both. Semih sprinting out to make sure that the Zealot and Dragoon play honestly. And I believe Tim, we'll see if Tim goes into 2-gate expansion or if he goes into 2-gate robo, but Semih is now opting for 1-gate robotics. And if this, and it looks like Tim is moving out to go ahead and grab that natural expansion. 1-gate robo into expansion tends to do a lot better than 2-gate robo into expansion. Effectively, because the Reaver at distance can hold. I actually like 1-gate into robotics a little bit better. It looks like Tim is going, so is playing, yeah, I think he's going to go for a faster Nexus. We'll see if he pauses Dragoon production in any space of this, but he went 2-gate and put the robotics fairly close to the natural expansion. That might also be to potentially, never mind, 3-gate robotics here from Semih. And this is on Radion. This might blow up in his face. We'll see, because with the 2-gate and the positioning, this looks like it's going to be a fairly fast Reaver. Now, one thing I've seen Semih execute many times is against this particular build, there is a move out with the 3-gate, or actually, never mind, it's 2-gate versus 3-gate. There is a timing where the Reaver is fresh, and the 3-gate Dragoons can make their way across the map, and sometimes you can catch catch it in a snipe and make that work out. By the way, Tim making his way across the map wants to confirm whether that natural expansion is up or not. That will let him know whether there's any tech or anything along those lines. Observer is queued up for Semih. The Dragoon count starting to grow. Tim potentially in some trouble here, though, because he's moving these Dragoons across the map, and he's going to be moving into his opponent that actually has a larger attack force. But this will be the big X factor, the robotic support bay and the order of the Reavers. Tim is actually going to use these Dragoons to scout on the short surface. Semih being clever here. He's pulling out a probe to make it look like he's going for... Maybe, is he going to go 3-gate into expand? I don't think he's going 3-gate into expand. I think this is just for show. I think this is to try to fool Tim into thinking that this was in fact a 2-gate into expand build, rather than what it actually is, 3-gate. Now that Semih has that Dragoon up, he's starting to filter. This is where it can really hurt Tim, because he's got these... But what he could do is he can move these Dragoons out towards the left. Right this second, at 6 versus 5, he could try to draw them around and go for a turnaround shot. A little bit of micro fight. Ooh, Tim strikes first blood. But keep in mind, this is still looks like Semih able to get the return fire. Tim, recognizing that he's pressing forward with aggression, should presume that this is a 3-gate. He went shuttle first. There the Reavers being built. And I don't know if this is going to be in time for Tim or not. He's got to buy himself some time in the microfield. Semih stepping up, able to pick off another Dragoon, and another Dragoon falls. So we got 3 Dragoons versus 4. Where's the reinforcements were slow across the field. The Observer making its way forward. This Observer able to spot what's happening out in the map. Now the question is does Semih continue to commit? Because he sees that the robotics is up. He saw the support bay likely with that Observer. He's got information. He's going to see when that Reaver pops, but Reaver versus Dragoon, Reaver usually wins. Semih could try to pick that fight before that Reaver is able to get down that ramp to get maximum value here. It looks like he's going to peek forward, try to make that happen. Concentrating on that left-hand side Dragoon, second Dragoon down, the shuttle making its way down, and Semih backing off, well, briefly backing off right this second. Both players even on workers right this second, but this is going to be a much safer expansion here for Tim. Semih continuing to press into this. Never mind, Semih getting on top of the shuttle with some micro. Has taken it down heavily. It is now out of that fight, and that Reaver's been picked off as well. Nice job there from Semih, although he's lost several of his Dragoons and is going to get chased down in the midst of this. 2 Observers sitting across from each other. Actually, this Observer might want to get out of town. Semih, this isn't a huge flub, but he's got 2 Observers that need to scatter right this second at close proximity. But picking off that early game Reaver, pretty significant, because Tim's going to have to think he's actually going to attack on a 3rd gateway before grabbing his additional expansion. I think Semih, after that, he's got his robotics up, he's got his Reaver on the way, and might feel a little bit more comfortable grabbing his expansion as well. This Observer is going to pin here just in case there was a tech switch. There's also that second Observer that's able to return home, which is going to negate the possibility of a sneak. Not that it would have been very challenging to sneak out DTs in the midst of this somewhere in this build, but just in case he's got that. And it looks like Semih is going to end up with that natural expansion a little bit faster. Tim able to wipe out that Observer on the corner at the very least. This shuttle being heavily damaged could be a big factor here. We got 8 Dragoons versus looks like 7 Dragoons, but that shuttle and that Reaver could do massive damage to Semih's front. But 1 volley from that grouping of Dragoons, and that could be it. The Reaver making its way on the low ground. That shuttle's such a huge advantage as well. The Observer able to peek the edge of that, by the way, for Semih. So he sees it incoming. So might be able to readjust his troop alignment and walk into this. Getting an initial shot, big shot, hits the Reaver. Reaver gone. Nice bit of micro there from Semih, and now Tim is going to have to turn around and exit out of this. And that is going to be, a lot of focus fire at cross position. This is also going to slow down Tim's expansion because he's going to get wiped out with the micro and the close position. 2 Dragoons remaining versus 3 on the run. Also, his shuttle has just spawned. Did Semih lose his Reaver? I think he might have lost his Reaver. Never mind, he still has the Reaver in the midst of this, so actually might even be able to crawl forward. If he regroups with the Dragoons, might be able to get a quick swat as well. Natural expansion is now finished for Semih. That's a huge boon. The Observer sees it completing. So Tim now feeling the pressure, getting some good counter shots, but is potentially walking into a trap as here's that Reaver alongside. Tim with a rapid sidestep away, doing a great job of hovering on the range. That was really high maneuver right there. I cannot emphasize that more. Tim just sitting on the exact range of that Reaver. The Observer trying to make its way back across. It looks like Semih's seen the edge of it, wants to try to get eyes on it. That shuttle cannot hang out for too long. Tim grouping up near that third. He's trying to find that army. The Observer might get picked off, and Semih might be running into a trap. Yeah, taking some free shots. He's actually taking quite a licking as he's making his way back across. Despite being up, so he's still up on economy because he's mining off 2 bases instead of just 1. But Tim has done a good job of staying on top of the probe production. So Tim's somehow up on probes, which means as soon as he saturates, it's natural. Despite Semih having that initial surge, he might be in a pretty good position to follow things up. Also, the infrastructure is not filled in just yet, so we're still at even production as far as just what can be fielded. But second gas is up. Semih moving around the map. Tim's actually holding near that third, maybe wanting to sneak that expansion a little bit faster than usual. 2 Dragoons getting caught out here on the forward field. They're going to be able to retreat before they're taking too much, and these Dragoons are split off from the rest of that attack force. The Reaver kind of out of this fight. The Observer is going to get picked off, and that's actually more important than you might think, because now Tim really doesn't have positional information as far as where that Reaver's headed. He has his own Reaver and his own shuttle, and we also have that counter Observer that can basically walk forward and get preemptive sighting. Is Tim tacking on additional gateways? Looks like he is tacking on his 4th gateway at close location, but it's 2 Reavers versus 1, with Semih outside his natural expansion. 1 Dragoon filtering forward, sacrificing itself to get the spot. Big splash damage on the initial. Good scoop up from Semih to get that Reaver back, but another big counter shot in the midst of this. Does the Reaver gets a full blast right there, so looks like there was a hit of a Scarab on the opposite side. Bit of exchange back and forth. Dragoons also exchanging fire. Big splash damage on that edge. And that shuttle getting dangerously close. Looks like the shuttle's going to get picked off from... Oh, he's lucky he didn't get picked off. And Tim just getting really good grouped bunch shots. And as a result, melting Semih's front, taking out 2... So despite being down a Reaver, ends up winning that fight overall. And at the end of it, the exchange is slightly behind on supply. Semih continuing to apply pressure has migrated some more Dragoons to the front. That shuttle got out by the skin of its teeth, but Semih might want to back off at this stage. He is adding his own 4th gateway and 5th gateway. Dragoon accidentally sacrificing itself in the midst of this. Tim missing, or maybe waiting on a macro cycle, as that 5th gateway now coming online for him. And after that exchange, Tim feeling feisty, starting to move out of the map, and it looks like he's going to grab his 3rd base. Correctly feeling that he has a degree of map control. I think Semih has a bad rally here, because this Dragoon once again walking suicidally out in the field. He might want to find which gateway. I'll have to keep an eye on which gateway is bleeding those troops out to the front. Speed being upgraded for Semih in the midst of this. 2 Reavers on the low ground. Tim very wise, recognizing that Semih was going to box up a bit and grabbing that 3rd well ahead of Semih. The Observer also not out on the forward field to scout this, and we also have effectively what's a defensive Observer, kind of patrolling no man's land in between. Tim also cycling here to the 6 o'clock location to see whether Semih is going to try to grab the bottom left-hand corner, and he's also going to be able to cycle around and check with that probe whether the 6 o'clock base is being grabbed or not. And actually might catch it just as Semih drops it, which would be a big boon to him. Otherwise, supply counts about even. Tim has a slight economic lead. I think he's got a little bit more infrastructure. Yeah, able to cycle in, sees the probe in position, but no nexus, which has got to make him feel pretty good. He is missing Semih moving out mid-map. Semih getting aggressive here. The Observer going to catch the edge of that army, allowing Tim to reposition. Although, never mind. So the Observer gets picked off. The Reaver not in the shuttle. And that Reaver on the low ground being pushed out of that fight. The right-hand side Dragoons. Ooh, never mind. Reaver gets taken out, and this is at close reinforcement points. Semih might want to back off from this. He's playing a little bit too aggressive considering the supply counts. Reaver gets picked off. He is up a Reaver, but this is again at close reinforcements. Tim drawing back with his Dragoon force. Does he have another? It looks like he's queuing up another Reaver right this second, but that also blocks out that 3 o'clock location. If Semih moves that direction and spots it, Reaver gets picked off there as well. Tim doing a good job with the focus fire, just streaming down, concentrated fire on Dragoon after Dragoon. Semih's walking up, has spotted that 3 o'clock base in the midst of this, so recognizes he's down economically. Second observer making its way up is going to rejoin with another grouping of Dragoons, but this is a kind of no man's land bridge where you kind of have to just watch the opponents on the other side unless you have Reavers that you can press to bear from that corner. Semih might be better suited at this stage going up to a higher gateway count and trying to press. Instead, it looks like he's going to go ahead and drop that Nexus. This Nexus is coming well behind where Tim was in the overall build order, although Tim is still sitting on just 6 gateways. He hasn't gone up to 8 off the 3 bases as of yet. Also, I want to point out that Semih's also getting that Scarab damage upgrade, so that could come into play down the line. That can absolutely lambast and annihilate troops if it comes into play, but Semih's taking a lot of free shots as he's walking in and out of these engagements. Shuttle making its way to the 3 o'clock location as the Dragoon army's retreating. Tim is not focusing on this location. A cannon just finishes, but too late as some probes already wiped out. 3 o'clock base currently shut down. Dragoons retreating to the high ground, but that's leaving the natural expansion exposed. A Reaver dropping to try to provide some distraction and some time for Semih to exit the rest of his troops back out across the map. The Reavers actually away from the Dragoon front. These Dragoons were taken out. So Semih getting a pretty good engagement all of a sudden with how everything panned out with the timing. And I'm going to chalk that up to luck more than planning, but executing well in the midst of this. So Tim all of a sudden surrounded and is going to end up losing his attack force. Has started remining at the 3 o'clock location. Shuttles wiped out, Reavers wiped out. 1 Dragoon is surviving, might be able to make its way out in the front and get another shot here at the 3 o'clock location. Semih's actually up a worker with that 6 o'clock base now coming online. He's still sitting on just the 5 gateways. Keep in mind, Tim is up 2 gateways, so he replenishes much more rapidly as far as raw troop count. But the main has now mined out for both players. This, oddly enough, taking this base coming online a bit later now for Semih, with map control being a little bit contested in both directions, might end up playing out well for him because he might have more resources over the long term if he can equalize trades. I actually didn't think Semih traded so well that it would be worth that difference in resources. Speaking of trades, Semih diving into that natural expansion, still trying to scoop up that Reaver. Did have the Scarab damage upgrade, but looks like it was able to at least empty it for a time being and got a good amount, a handful of probes. Observer picked off on the close location. Tim regrouping, looks like he might go for an attack of his own. Chalking on some Dark Templar, some High Templar as well, has made his way to the Templar tech stage of this. He is still sitting on the 7 gateways, which is appropriate off the I was incorrect earlier as far as going the larger gateway count. This is usually where you want to be off 2 gateways. Semih holding a troop count mid position. Zealots charging in with that Zealot leg speed. By the way, +1 weapons advantage for Tim as well. 2 Reavers waiting to turn the tide of the battle. Nice little scoop around them, and keep in mind that Scarab damage upgrade is also in place. So Tim really shouldn't stand and fight when these Reavers are in play. Tim should wait for that Storm. As soon as that Storm is out there, that can really turn the tide because Shuttles and Reavers do not do well under Storm. Semih momentarily worried about his 6 o'clock base. 2 Dark Templars starting to make their way out in the field. Do we have more observers? It looks we have a cannon here at the 6 o'clock, an observer with this army, an observer sitting at the natural expansion, but potentially no. Oh man, this Dark Templar gets caught very early on. And Semih making a motion towards the 3 o'clock. There are some cannons, but the Reavers could slow walk across that bridge line. Another observer gets picked off, can slow walk across that bridge line, clear out the cannons, and continue to press into this. Now this is, and I take it back, we're seeing an Archon rather than Reaver, the High Templar with Storm. The Archon at distance is not going to do well. You can see how quickly it melts to that Scarab upgrade damage. And all of a sudden, Semih backing across the ramp, allowing these Reavers to get full exposure. As soon as they redrop, these Reavers are just gonna get exploded on the ramp. Also, you have probes just sitting there at the 3 o'clock. Semih's movement on the map and readjustments of his army into advantageous engagements has been phenomenal this game. Absolutely phenomenal. Turning back around. Gonna scoop that Reaver up. Looks like he's gonna use lose the rest of these forces, but well played from Semih, able to shut down that 3 o'clock base. Tim gonna call GG right there. Oh. And what a game one. We'll go on to game two. This is still best of 3. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.